Hi, this tutorial covers a type of graph called a pie chart. So let's take a look at a study that we can get some data from. So in the 2011 study, MetLife survey of an American teacher, 1,001 teachers from around the country were randomly sampled. They were asked what race/ethnicity would they identify themselves as. The following table summarizes their responses. Okay, so if we see that we have the categories here. So the categories were broken down into white, black/African American, Hispanic, and other. Okay, so there were 751 white teachers in this study, 123 black/African American teachers, 74 Hispanic teachers, and 53 teachers that classified themselves as a different race or ethnicity than the three here. Alright, so this represents a qualitative data set. So qualitative data can be nicely graphed using a pie chart. So notice that a pie chart is a circular graph where each data category is represented with a sector in the circle. So what a sector is kind of like a pie piece of your circle. So where each pie piece will represent a different category. So the measure of the central angle of each sector equals the category's relative frequency times 360 degrees. Okay, so remember what a relative frequency is kind of what proportion of that category it is out of the total. Okay, so this kind of gives you like a percentage or a proportion. So if you multiply that by 360, that'll get you the correct angle to make your sector. Okay, and then kind of to put that definition into a formula, the central angle of a sector equals the relative frequency times 360. All right, so let's use that formula to make a pie chart for our race and ethnicity data. I think it's helpful to kind of write all of this down as in a table. So we have our frequencies here, and then we're going to calculate the relative frequencies and then the central angles. So we're going to calculate relative frequency by taking your frequencies and dividing them by n, which was 1001. We're then going to calculate the central angle of the sector by multiplying the relative frequency times 360. Okay, so what I'm going to do those on the calculator and zoom in a little bit so that you can see. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take my frequency. So the first frequency was 751. I'm going to first divide that by 1001. Okay, that represents my relative frequency. I'm going to round that to the nearest thousandth. And then I'm going to take that times 360 to get the angle measure. So that ends up being about 270 degrees. I think I'm going to round all of these to the nearest degree. Okay, now my next frequency is 123. So I'm going to take 123 divided by 1001, and then I'm going to multiply that answer by 360. So the relative frequency was 1.23 multiplied by 360. That ends up being about 44 degrees. Okay, my next frequency is 74. So I'm going to take 74 divided by 1001. That gives me 0.074. And then I'm going to multiply that by 360. And this is going to give me about 27 degrees. Okay, and then the other category had a frequency of 53. So it's 53 divided by 1001 times 360. And so this ends up being 0.053 and about 19 degrees. Okay, so these will represent how large I'm going to draw those central angles when I make my pie graph. Okay, so now let's use the previous table to make a pie chart. To make a pie chart, a protractor should be used to accurately measure the central angles. Excel can also be used to make a pie chart. Okay, so what you're always going to do is start with a circle. Okay, so I drew a circle in advance here. And let's give it a label. So this is going to be race/ethnicity of U.S. teachers. Okay, and sometimes I'll like to just put the sample size here. So the reader knows how big of a sample we took. So n equals 1001. Okay, so now I'm going to again use my central angles to kind of split these up into the different pie pieces. So notice that I have the center of my circle marked. So I'm going to center my protractor on that. And let's flip this around. And our first, the white category has a central angle of 270 degrees. Okay, so what I'm always going to do is just start with kind of this reference line. So I'm just going to go straight out across, and this is really going to represent 0 degrees. And my first angle needs to be 270 degrees. So what I need to do is I need to go all the way around, so that would represent 180 degrees. Now I need to go an additional 90 degrees to get to 270. Now another way to do this is that I can just mark this at 90 here, and then I'm going to draw a line up here. Okay, so what that means is that this is a 90 degree angle here. That central angle is 90 degrees, which means this whole angle here is 270 degrees. So I'm going to mark this as the white category. And what I like to do then also is to write this as a percent. So white represents 75%. Okay, now this other 25% is going to be broken down into my next 3 categories. So the next category I'll do is the black/African American category, which had a central angle of 44 degrees. Okay, so what I'm going to do again is center my protractor on this reference. I'm going to put it on the reference line, centering it at the center of the circle, and then I'm going to measure up to 44 degrees. Okay, so this is 0 down here, so I measure up, I look on the bottom numbers here, so that's 40. 45 is this longer mark here, so 44 is about there. Okay, I put a little mark there, and then I'm going to draw my line here, which is going to represent my black/African American category. Okay, and I'm going to mark down what the percentage here was, which this was 12.3%. Okay, and then really I just need to draw one more line because that's going to split this piece up into the 2 other categories. So I'm going to make my Hispanic category next, and that's going to represent 7.4% of the data, which is about 27 degrees. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to center my protractor now on this line, and I'm going to measure 27 degrees from this from here. So 27. So again, this is 0, this is 20, this is 30, so 25, 26, 27 will be about here. Okay, and then I'm going to draw a line here. Okay, and then I'm going to mark this as Hispanic, and this was 7.4%. Okay, now what I can do, if I can't quite fit the name in here, since this is a smaller sector, I can always draw an arrow. And I can put this as other, and other represented 5.3%. Alright, so that represents the pie chart for the ethnicity data. Okay, sometimes what you'll see is they'll color in the sectors. So I'd need 4 different colors for the 4 different categories, and then I could make a little key off to the side when which color represents which category. Okay, so this represents the pie chart for the data from the MetLife study. Okay, like I said before, Excel can also do pie charts. So this is one that I did ahead of time. The rounding might be a little bit different, but it's pretty close. So notice that they use colors here. So they used blue, red, yellow, and green. So blue represented the white population. Okay, that's also marked here as white. Black African American, 12%. That was red. Hispanic, 7%, which was yellow, and other was 5%, which was the green category here. Okay, so again, these can also be constructed using the Excel program. Alright, so that is your tutorial on pie charts. Thanks for watching.